Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson pushing back on Trump administration threats to send the National Guard and other federal authorities to Chicago. WBBM political editor Geoff Buchholz was at today's news conference. He joins us live with all the details. Jeff.
Yeah, once again, Chicago making national news, Lisa, though probably not in the way that state and local leaders would like. Governor Pritzker chose the fork of the Chicago River here at Wolf Point to make the point that Chicago's not the killing field, that's a quote, that President Trump described at the White House today. The governor and many other speakers here said violent crime is trending down, and the pledge to send in federal forces is less about fighting crime and more about bringing Chicago in line. But Mayor Johnson did offer a suggestion for federal assistance.
We are calling on the Trump administration to release the $800 million for violence prevention funds that he stole back in April. We are calling for more resources to stop the endless flow of guns into our city. And we are calling for transformational investments into affordable housing and community safety.
And Lisa, the governor and the mayor both called the potential arrival of federal law enforcement forces here unlawful and unwarranted.
Okay, Jeff, so the question now is, what can the state do to keep federal forces out of Chicago? Can they do anything?
It's not clear, actually. The governor's response was essentially, see you in court. Attorney General Kwame Raoul was here as well. He says he's already filed more than 36 lawsuits, and he's not afraid to do it again. But when asked about preemptive lawsuits, in other words, getting to the court before the troops show up, both men said it's too early to know.
Newly obtained 911 recordings from West Suburban Broadview are providing more insight into the day that the ICE processing center there first became the focus of weeks of immigration enforcement and protests. WBBM political editor Geoff Buchholz has been working this story for weeks and is here at the anchor desk with exclusive details. Jeff.
Hi, Lisa. Broadview's a community of 8,000 people inside an area that's a little bigger than 2 square miles. Operation Midway Blitz turned it into a place that's become known around the world.
911, where's the emergency?
Ma'am, we were just shot at by ICE agents at 1930 Broadview, and they got a handicapped woman.
That's part of just one of the calls that came into Broadview's dispatch center on September 12th. Before that day was over, operators would be flooded with calls from people demonstrating and getting pepper sprayed outside the ICE processing facility.
How many people?
Are you okay?
Broadview Police Chief Thomas Mills was in the middle of everything. He was trying to protect everyone out there, and in the middle of all of it, he was confronted by a masked ICE agent.
He screamed some vulgarities at me, basically stating that I needed to do my job, and I'm a piece of, and not a good word.
It's the word you think it is. In an extensive interview at Village Hall, the chief told me that's when he realized his officers were going to need more help.
We actually created a new plan, seeing what we went through on September 12th.
He says his department, which is budgeted for 31 sworn officers and 2 civilians, has done what he calls a phenomenal job under difficult circumstances.
Jeff, so the village, did they have any advance warning that this enforcement surge was coming?
We asked about that. The chief told me he heard from some people at the ICE facility around Labor Day that they would be processing detainees 7 days a week. Usually that facility would run 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but they had very little other information about what they'd be doing.
So talk about the process to get this story.
We filed a public records request nearly 2 months ago for materials related to Broadview's response to demonstrations at the ICE facility. After reviewing those recordings that you just heard and a bunch of others, we sat down with Chief Mills to find out more about his department's actions. There's more to come over the next couple of days, including how he feels about how his community has become a backdrop for political protests and what we learned about his current employment status with the village.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Good job. Thank you, political editor Geoff Buchholz. Thanks.
There was new outrage today about the Trump administration's ICE enforcement activity in Chicago after masked and armed agents pulled a teacher out of a North Side daycare. WBBM political editor Geoff Buchholz reports elected leaders are disputing the Fed's versions of events.
We are not okay.
Parents, religious, and community leaders looked on as members of Congress and others denounced the decision to detain a teacher inside the Raita de Sol facility at Addison and Rockwell near Lane Tech High School.
They went into multiple rooms asking and looking for teachers, while children were
present.
Democratic Congresswoman Delia Ramirez says the teacher taken into custody is authorized to work in the U.S. A statement from DHS claims in part agents did not target the daycare, but say the woman barricaded herself inside the facility after speeding away from what the agency called a targeted traffic stop. Congressman Mike Quigley says he doesn't believe anything coming out of the administration.
This is a president, when he gets in the room with the truth, a fight breaks out.
The teacher was reportedly taken to the ICE facility in Broadview. We're on the north side. Geoff Buchholz, News Radio 1059, WBBM.
Mayor Johnson says federal agents posing for a photo op in front of the Bean in Millennium Park today is just the latest provocation against the city by the Trump administration.
People passing by Millennium Park saw Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino and armed, uniformed, and masked officers posing in front of the Cloud Gate sculpture in the early morning sunlight, saying "Little Village" instead of cheese.
This is ugly behavior.
Mayor Johnson says the apparent photo op is the latest attempt to provoke people in the city following a weekend that included reports that an agent fired pepper spray in a car carrying a 1-year-old child.
We will not be lectured about public safety when you have individuals who are masked and who are pepper spraying children, tear gassing our police officers.
He also blamed the ICE activity on a 21% drop in 911 calls from Little Village since the start of Operation Midway Blitz. We're with the mayor at City Hall, Geoff Buchholz, News Radio 1059, WBBM.